Today's joint practice with the Green Bay Packers is the biggest test for the Arizona Cardinals this entire preseason. How are they going to react? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. Here we go. The first real look for the Arizona Cardinals. And unfortunately, we're not going to see a lot of it. Teo Mackey from AZ Central tweeted out, most of the joint practice is going to be closed today. A lot of it is just going to be words. It's going to be play-by-play without the pictures, which stinks, but we'll discuss it regardless. Cut days around the corner where teams trim down closer to 53. What do the Cardinals need in an effort to bolster this roster enough to be able to make it less incomplete than it is now? And are there going to be any surprises between now and week one? Is Josh Sweat getting traded? Is James Conner getting traded or cut? I'm going to discuss some potential things. Most likely not going to happen, but still need to discuss them as we inch closer and closer to week one, just over 2 weeks away. This is the last test for the Arizona Cardinals, the only real test. Now, it's hysterical when you're looking at the preseason percentages, advanced analytics, things like that. Like Carson Beck and Keaton Slovis have two of the highest, or the two highest graded quarterbacks in the preseason, I believe. And that was as of midweek. And it's like, okay, let's pump the brakes here. What we've seen from the Cardinals this offseason is, for the majority of the time, outside of Gardner Minshew this past week, the offense looked good. I think everybody can agree about that. The offense looked good. The pass game looked good. Jeremiah Love looked good when he ran. Bam Knight looked good when he ran in the Hall of Fame game. Tyler Algier looked good when he ran against Oakland. It looks like the offense is going to be good. It looks like the offensive line is going to be good enough. We'll see, but it looks like up until this point, it'll be good enough, hoping nobody gets injured and they're able to stay as one unified unit. So we've seen that. Okay, the defense, the opposite. They only gave up. They didn't give up many points against against Las Vegas, but they gave up a lot against Carolina. They gave up a lot against Dallas, and with Dallas's twos against some of the starters for the Cardinals, which is off-putting. But all of this is culminating to what they do in the Green Bay joint practice. And unfortunately, we're not going to see a lot of it. I wish they just televised it live stream. Obviously, most of practices are closed anyways to the public. But this is it. You're not expecting the starters to play on Friday. You're expecting this to be the full dress rehearsal before week one in LA against the Chargers. And they're healthy. Outside of Chase Bisontis and Caleb Proctor, they're healthy. Josh Sweat, Tip Ryman hasn't been activated off the PUP list yet. You'd expect him to. I would think before week one. I mean, they could definitely use him. They're using a lot of 12 personnel, and that second tight end is used for blocking on the right side. We've seen a lot of it. And this isn't talking about, use Tip Ryman to help with Elijah Wilkinson and using the chip once in a while. They're doing that a lot. They've been doing that a lot with Tegan Keel. So we'll see what happens with Tip. I'm assuming they'll activate him. He did have that compound fracture. It was a very scary injury, but it's been a while. You would think he's not going to start the season on IR, but I'm not a doctor. So they're healthy. Jacoby Brissett is now weeks into camp, weeks into the preseason, learning this offense after being on the shelf with the contract dispute. Marv looks to be wowing in camp. He had that over-the-shoulder catch, was beautiful. And again, I know it's preseason. Denzel Burke was all over him. Denzel Burke had great coverage. And Jacoby Brissett just put it the only place that Marvin Harrison Jr. could catch it. And he caught it. He slid in bounds. It was a beautiful catch. So it's going to be fascinating. We're not going to see a lot of it again. But what a great dress rehearsal. To go against the guy who knows these offensive skill position players better than anybody else in recent times, with Jonathan Gannon being there for the last 3 years. They're going to get the tests necessary on both sides of the ball to really determine where they're at right now. It's the perfect team for the barometer check. Jonathan Gannon, this was his defense. You think he's not going to talk to Matt LaFleur, be like, hey, these are the tendencies. This is going to be great. Now you just hope nobody gets injured. Knock on wood. You just hope the Cardinals get out of it unscathed. You hope, and the Packers too. You hope nobody gets hurt. And it is very, very effective for both sides. And it's a great, outside of the Jonathan Gannon effect, it's a great team for the Cardinals to be going up against. So you've got your Josh Jacobs and you've got your running backs there, okay. But then it's the skill position players outside of the running back room. They couldn't be more different. Christian Watson is a bona fide X. Jaden Reed is this quote unquote gadget guy, but they use him, not gadget guy in a negative way. They do use him on little gadget routes, end around stuff like that. He can run every route in the tree. He can run out, so he can play outside, he can play in the slot. And you got Tucker Kraft, one of the best tight ends in football. You're going to have the ability to see a lot from a lot of different players, a lot of different looks. And Jordan Love is a really good quarterback. They've got one of the best offensive line in football. So this is a great type of skill position player group for the Cardinals to be playing against on defense. It's not really traditional or run-of-the-mill. So while this seems pretty general, it's like, well, yeah, obviously it's going to be good. It's going to be good to find out. This is the most important day in Mike LaFleur's head coaching tenure so far. Even he said, 2 joint practices a year, man. Like, that's where you really get to find out. That's where you really get to see in real time, or as close to real time as the preseason can be. That's where you get to see what your team is all about. And in the back of my mind, all I've been thinking about is, man, this defense needs to force some turnovers. And I know that they had one late against Dallas, but it's like they need to force some turnovers. We've seen nothing from this defense in the preseason. Walter Nolan had a sack. LJ Collier had a tip ball against the Raiders, pretty much forced by Walter Nolan's pressure up the middle. But without seeing Josh Sweat, Jordan Burch hasn't shown much. David Collins hasn't played. Baron Browning hasn't played. Haven't seen much in the secondary. Haven't even seen many pass breakups. It just hasn't been much. It's been very uninspired when watching it. And again, it's very vanilla. It's the preseason. Okay, they're not going to show a whole lot of looks, but still, you're not seeing a bunch. You're not seeing a bunch. So you want to see that. And then for me, I talked about this yesterday, it's Marv. It's Marv. You want the one standout. I don't even care. I'd rather it be Marv over Will Johnson or Denzel Burke or Max Melton or Garrett Williams. I don't care about anybody. The defense is so far removed from having any sort of trust in it right now that if it's one day with one guy, it's fine. It's good, but you'd rather it be Marv. You'd rather have their strength be the absolute bona fide strength. And Marv is the most important X factor on this team in 2026. I've been saying it for months. The most important X factor. This offense could be top 12 if he reaches that third-year trajectory that Jackson Smith and Jigba and Nico Collins did. I mean, the only issue is the Cardinals have a much more full house than what Nico Collins and Jackson Smith and Jigba did on their respective teams at that time. A lot more mouths to feed. But imagine if Marvin Harrison Jr. forces Mike LaFleur to scheme him more and diminish Michael Wilson's looks. That's not a knock on Michael Wilson. Just how amazing would it be if Marv reaches the potential? Because listen, this is the comp that I've made. Michael Wilson is Jacoby Brissett. Marvin Harrison Jr. is Kyler Murray. The peak, the ceiling from Marvin Harrison Jr. is significantly higher than Michael Wilson. The floor, as we've seen so far, is higher for Michael Wilson. But Marvin Harrison Jr.'s numbers were good last year before he got hurt. People just forget. It's easy to dog on Marv because he was a number 4 overall pick and he's not Jamar Chase. But with this last test of the preseason, yeah, Marv is going to be the one under the biggest microscope. Is that an oxymoron? Biggest microscope? No. He's under the biggest microscope because for me, he's the most important X factor for the Arizona Cardinals in 2026. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Cut day needs. It's around the corner. What do the Cardinals need? And is there going to be opportunities for them to grab somebody? We'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Kalshi. Before the season even kicks off, which is about 2 weeks away, Everyone's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? And on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you could trade those predictions in a live market. Is it just the Rams that are going to win the NFC? You can go on Kalshi if you think so. Is there going to be a dark horse? Is Dallas going to make their first conference championship in a while? Or is Philly going to get back there? Is Seattle going to repeat? There's so many different options over at Kalshi. And on Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contracts trading involves risk. It may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, value, and available markets may differ for those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by Square. Behind so many local businesses people visit every day is Square, a platform designed to help businesses sell, manage, and grow. Whether it's a neighborhood coffee shop, a packed sports bar on game day, or your favorite restaurant, Square brings payments, banking, and more together in one connected system. It helps businesses owners spend less time managing and more time focusing on their customers. Square isn't just a payment processor. It's a complete business platform built to simplify the day-to-day, from accepting every major payment method to managing inventory and helping businesses access their earnings faster. Square gives owners the tools they need to run their business with confidence. Imagine a tool that's not only easy for the business, but for the consumer. Imagine how, how many tools out there are that it's more difficult for the business, but easier for the consumer and the customer. It's like, well, listen, it's tougher for us, but for the customer, it's easier. So it's worth doing that. Square, it's easier on both sides, man. It's an absolute win-win. If you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. Right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/LockedOnNFL. That's SQUARE.com/GO/LockedOnNFL. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today, man. Please go to YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button. When the season starts, Cardinal Squad Show, Wednesdays and Sundays. Cardinals game on Sunday. I go live for 15 minutes, and then a full hour of the Cardinal Squad Show, and then my full show on Monday. We're going back to that cadence. And the lucky part for all, I guess, I kind of like the Cardinals only play on Sunday. There's no short weeks. There's no nothing. And I know it seems small and cosmetic, but it's important, especially with the Cardinals having so much going on in 2026. Cut day needs. Okay, so I tweeted out and, had good conversations, at Clancy's Corner. If you want to interact, cool. I don't do it for followers. I don't really care. I'm just happy that you're here. It's great, but if you want to have more conversations, DM me there. It's just another outlet. I'm surprised that the Cardinals haven't done anything with the offensive line since Chase Bisontis went down. I tweeted that out. And, everybody's like, oh, they're waiting for cut day. They're waiting for cut day. I'm like, I understand that. Okay. I understand the cadence of the offseason. It's more so being reactive instead of proactive. This is something that I've talked about on this show. If you're an everydayer and you've heard this, thank you. If this is your first listen to Locked On Cardinals, thank you. Maybe make tomorrow your second one. They're always reactive. During games, during the offseason, it's always other teams doing things and the Cardinals reacting to that. It's the other team actually getting the player and the Cardinals having to react and go to their second or third option. So when I tweeted that out, it was more like, hey, go trade for somebody. Who's available? Everybody's available. Everybody's available. All these trades that are being made for offensive linemen, for guards, for tackles, it's happening. Houston's done it a couple times. The amount of money the Dolphins put in, or the Panthers put into their offensive line 2 off seasons ago, Robert Hunt and more. It's like, yeah, our offensive line is going to be better now, they said. And the Cardinals really just try to find the bargain. So when it comes to cut day needs, it's like, okay, so walk through this with me. These players aren't good enough or aren't valuable enough to be retained by their team, so they're being cut. And that's the pool that the Cardinals should go after. It's not the same as free agency. Free agency, most of the time, well, it's either play or it's contractual. This guy wants too much money. We are up against the salary cap here, therefore we cannot pay you, therefore we must cut you, is what teams say. This is cutting the roster down to 53. this player is not valuable enough on the roster, irrespective of how much the person is making. And usually it's not one of the top guys. So it's not like you're going to go find, you can go find a diamond in the rough. Sure, there are Kelvin Beachums out there. But, he signed, 5-6 years ago with I can't remember at this point. There are guys like that. You've got depth pieces, which is what the Cardinals need. But it's not like you're going to find a Pro Bowler more times than not after cut day. So that's why, it's frustrating because the Cardinals could go do whatever. Well, who should they go get? I thought Will Hernandez would have been a good idea. He had a meeting with the Lions, and I'm sure he's tried out elsewhere. But yeah, he's a familiar face. Played right guard with this team the last couple years. I know that it's a different scheme, but Yalta Froholt knows him. Jacoby Brissett knows him. Why not? Seems simple. And I know he didn't play that great last year, but I'd rather have him than Matt Pryor. Like, what if John Gaines is already having to start somewhere else? What do you do at right guard? They don't have enough depth. So cut day needs offensive line. It's been offensive line. It was offensive line going into free agency. It was offensive line going into the draft. And they brought in Isaac Seumalo, which was a good signing. They drafted Jeremiah Levin, punted an offensive lineman. All the reports out about Spencer Fauner is that he's all world. I'm like, well, everybody told you that. Well, you can't draft him at 3. Well, what if he was what you needed? 5 straight off seasons. I've said they need to do better with the offensive line. It's like, no, go draft a wide receiver. Go draft a running back. It's like, okay, let's see how it goes. Now, with that said, it's going to be fun with Jeremiah Love, of course. The offense is going to be better. But they still need offensive lineman help, especially on the right side. That's one. And listen, this is the obvious, the pass rush. The 2 glaring holes that they chose to remain as they were when they drafted Jeremiah Love at 3. Why is anybody surprised that their pass rush and offensive line isn't good? Or isn't good on the right side and the pass rush is incomplete? Why is anybody surprised? Now, that's not to say the offensive line won't be good enough. And that's not to say, maybe Walter Nolan will be good enough from the interior, which will allow to spring the guys outside of alongside Josh Sweat to make their job easier when they just have to go one-on-one against a tackle. Maybe. And you hope that's the case. But cut day needs, offensive lineman and pass rusher. We're kind of on an island with corners right now. You don't really know. A lot of high draft capital. A lot of it. A lot of it. It's going to be fascinating. So it's not like bring in a corner. It's like, no, corners don't just get cut if they're Pro Bowl caliber. And the Cardinals, if they wanted to add anything in that position, it would have to be an upgrade, and that's just not going to happen. So when you look at the roster, where are the incompletes? Pass rush and offensive line. Same thing it's been since the end of last season. Nothing's changed. They chose their incomplete. So when you look at cut day needs, it's the same. I've been talking on the show every day about this damn team. This is going my 10th season, and things just a lot of the times just stay the same. You'd hope they'd be more proactive than reactive. But here we are looking at this team approaching cut day, and they've got 2 glaring needs. And if they can find some depth after players get cut from other teams, they're able to sign them at the 23rd hour. Maybe they'll be able to, muster some sort of semblance of a pass rush or real solidification. I don't know if that's a word. To solidify the depth on the right side of the offensive line with Chase Bisontis down. We'll see. It's creeping up. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. Any surprises between now and the start of the season? We'll give some options, and they're mostly far-fetched, but they would be surprises. Discuss it next. This episode of Locked on Cardinals is brought to you by Game Time. There are more live events than ever we're seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part usually isn't deciding what you want to attend. It's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, and surprising fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. And that's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets simple with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive saving opportunities that help you get to the event you want without the usual hassle. The seats used before you buy a thing is an absolute game changer. I talk about this every time I do this read. When you click on the section of row you may want to buy, it gives you the opportunity to move your phone to the left and right, and it'll show you the vantage point that you'd be seeing if you bought those tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. The joint practice is starting half an hour before I post this. 9:30 Arizona time. So if anything happens, I'll be tweeting out. I'll be talking about the majority of it tomorrow. And that's how the cadence is going to go. So the potential surprises. Let's talk about player movement. Okay. I don't see a world where Josh Sweat gets traded. Like, it's just like it would be serendipity. Just Root, Cards Wire tweeted this out about like he I'm paraphrasing, but he's something that oh, wouldn't it, like tinfoil hatting, like, oh, well, he gets activated from the pup, then they have their joint practice in Green Bay, they reconnect with Jonathan Gannon, sees how good he looks, and then they trade for him. The Packers do. I'm just saying, like, and I'm not saying that he said that was going to happen. It's just the timing is funny. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And listen, if it happens, it's the Cardinals. So Cardinals tax. But like, I don't see the upside to waiting this long to do it. If you're going to trade Josh Sweat, first of all, I completely vehemently disagree with trading him at all. But if you're going to do it, you do it before the draft so you can actually get some draft capital and utilize it for this season. That's number one. Number two, the whole thing about, the Cardinals, like, he's not happy, and then that came out like right around voluntary minicamp. It's like, how did you not know if that was the case? And then are you really letting him just sit out because he's unhappy and he wants to practice with his own guys, or like he wants to train with his own guys? Be very Cardinals taxi. Who knows? But that would be a surprise, obviously, moving him before the season starts. I just don't see it happen. I just don't see it happening. I think that they're going to keep him throughout the year. Unless the Cardinals start 1-7 and the defense looks terrible and you want to just rip the Band-Aid off and you're shooting for a top 5 pick, okay. But still, Josh Sweat is a good pass rusher. He was the best defensive player he had last year. Why would you just trade him? So the other, would there be a surprise? James Conner's movement. Now, the great social media team here at Locked On clipped something that I talked about yesterday with James Conner, how I'd rather have, and I said this, and this is kind of out of context because I did a full segment on it. Check it out. I did a full segment on this yesterday, and I talked about it the day before because I think it's important. I think I'd rather have a 25-year-old Bam Knight over 31-year-old James Conner right now, just production-wise. I understand how important James Conner is to the team, and I've been championing him forever. I want him to retire an Arizona Cardinal. And then things change a little bit, and it's like, well, you drafted Jeremiah Love and brought in Tyler Algier. So obviously, you don't think that highly of James Conner as a player anymore, even though he just broke his foot and he was out for last year. Okay, you wouldn't have done that if you thought James Conner was going to have a prominent role on the team. And then Bam Knight not suiting up in week 3 of the preseason, it's like, okay, well, he's on the roster. Having 4 running backs just doesn't make sense. And it's not a matter of anything other than which running backs gives your team the best chance to move the ball, score touchdowns, and win. And while I do think still 4th and 1 from the 2, and you're forced to run the ball for, say there's it's a blizzard out and it's negative 10 degrees and there's 4 feet of snow on the ground, you have to run the ball, just hypothetically speaking. Out of the 3 guys, Algier, James Conner, and Jeremiah Love, I might be giving it to James Conner still. Probably Tyler Algier, but I may be giving it to James Conner still. I understand his value. I understand it off the field. He's one of the best Cardinals ever. Like he's like not like production-wise in the annals of time, but he's an Arizona Cardinal. Like he's ingratiated himself to this team, to this community. Everybody loves him. He could have gone elsewhere, but he stayed twice. He loves being here. That's great. And at some point, you have to win football games. And I'm not saying the Cardinals winning or losing football games hinges upon if James Conner's on the roster or not. Sometimes you hug, say, it's been fun. We'll see you. Come back and be running backs coach when you retire. I don't know. But again, I still think it would be a surprise if they move off him. It's just the Bam Knight thing just kind of Looney Tune in my brain. Because you figured he'd be the practice squad guy, the new Michael Carter. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Doesn't seem to be the case. But keeping 4 running backs just seems redundant. I understand how important James Conner is. Trust me. I've been championing him since he got signed. He was the offense for 2.5 straight years. And when he got hurt, the offense didn't work. The other surprises that could happen, like I'd be shocked if Paris Johnson Jr. got a contract extension before the season started. I'd be shocked. I think they're going to play it out another year. That'd be a surprise if he got paid. Now, the Michael Wilson one is fascinating. So, and I completely forgot to mention, Yelta Frold got a 2-year, $20 million extension yesterday. Great. He deserves it. You want him to be the center for a while. He's great. He's perfect. He's exactly what you want a center to be for the Arizona Cardinals. He's great. He's great. So you love that. Box check. Now begs the question, what about Michael Wilson? Do you want to get ahead of it? And I've talked about this. We talked about it on the squad show last night. I've talked about this probably between 5 and 10 times this offseason. And I think it's important with him in Paris because every time we talk about it, obviously we're closer to the season. Obviously, we know more things than we did last time. And obviously, we're in a different spot watching this team because things are obviously more clear. I'm extending him before the season starts. 3 for $70, $45 million guaranteed or $50 million guaranteed. Like, he can't get Zay Flowers money. He can't get Alec Pierce money, even though Alec Pierce money is banana sandwich. Looney. It's insane. The amount of money that he got. Well, that's how wide receiver 2s are going. That's why. It doesn't have to. The thing with me for Michael Wilson, recency bias aside, he was non-existent for 2.5 seasons. You could say it was Kyler Murray. You could say whatever it was. He was non-existent for 2.5 years. And then he had 11 good games. You want to give him $100 million for 11 good games? I'm good. I'm good. The Monty Ossenfort special is 2+1. It's what he's done with James Conner. It's what he did with Zach Ertz. Like, Trey McBride got an extra year. I think Trey McBride's 3+1. Or the +1 is an option after the second year. So you give Michael Wilson 3 for $70. You front load it. You signing bonus it. You give him a lot of money the first 2 years. And then you have the out after the third year. And then if you need to restructure, you do. Say he balls out next year, then you can extend him and do all the fun stuff. But for me, I'm extending him before the season starts. Those are just some surprises. I don't think Josh Sweat's getting moved. I don't think James Conner's getting moved. I don't think Paris Johnson's getting a contract. I don't think Michael Wilson's getting a contract before the season starts. But don't be surprised if one of those things happens. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.